Gives me great pleasure now to invite one of my favorite politicians and my vote for the next Prime Minister of this country, Nurul Izzah.
To try to reach to as many Malaysians as possible, since TV3 has declined our invitation time and again. I've actually invited TV3, Utusan Malaysia, Berita Harian to give us coverage. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to follow through. And this gives us a lot of difficulty because, of course, for those who read the media, not everyone is as savvy or as brilliant and intelligent as Patrick Teo. Some Malaysians still believe in the propaganda, the negative propaganda and the lies spewed by the mainstream media. And this is a problem for Malaysia and our progress. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think YB Hannah, Hannah Yo, I didn't mention her name, Ayo. And the husband, I'm so sorry. I think she has elucidated and basically spelled out the issues facing all of us here today. And it's going to be a matter of weeks before we face possibly a life-changing event, the next general elections. And I'm not here to tell you that everything's going to be easy, simple, dandy, and that change will definitely take place. Change will take place. It is inevitable. But I feel that we are facing a government, a prime minister, notwithstanding his promises of transformation and all that related, they're not used to being part of the opposition or being the opposition. When the parliament first opened this session, I happened to sit beside a Barisan Nasional MP, and I'm no MP. I won't name his name. He was walking beside me, and I said, how are things? And he says, not too great. And I asked him why. I mean, being part of the opposition, especially in Kuala Lumpur, is never easy. But I think it's important because it provides you with a more humble approach to governance, to having given this chance to be a member of parliament is not a glamorous portfolio. It is a responsibility that you take on to improve or at least to achieve a set of objectives, whatever you believe in, your principles, etc. And he told me, Nurul, you've always been in the opposition. You're young, it's okay, but for us, I'm 46. You can check, I'm no MPs who are 46, so I'm 46 and I'm not used to, and I can't imagine life as the opposition. But, of course, I bit my lip. I didn't continue because good manners did not permit me to proceed further. We said our goodbyes. But I really wanted to bring home the point here that it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about Ellie. It's not about even Tan Sri Khalid. We're here. We were chosen by the Rakyat in 2008. And we're facing this huge opportunity, this chance to change this country, to do things differently. And it should be a normal democratic process in any nation around the world, name it. But it is not in Malaysia. Why is that? We are supposed to be a multi-party democracy. We are supposed to be, Malaysians given the right enshrined in the federal constitution to choose whoever you like. But that right is denied from us. Now I remember the former president of ABIM, Dr. Siddiq Fadil, he mentioned one term to me. Dia sebut kepada saya, Nurul Izzah, bila kita kata kita berjuang bukan sahaja nak bebaskan dari segi fizikal, kita ditahan. Satu lagi, untuk memastikan tidak berlakunya penindasan minda. There is no terrorizing the mind. Because if you force an electorate, if you curb their rights from freely expressing their choice, their love, or their support for any party, then you are an authoritarian that should rightly be rejected from governance. And I think this is a very important point. We've been under this regime for more than 55 years. Sometimes people forget. It is your right as Malaysians. It is our right. I love it to hear When I hear Patrick, rolls off from his tongue the issue about change, about making fun of the government. I mean, to be fair, you can also make fun of the Selangor government. I think, one of the hallmarks of leadership is you are never perfect. You are never perfect, and you can only strive to improve and to do better. And once you stop listening to the electorates, then it is time to kick you out. So that is a very important prerequisite to any system of governance and to any leaders in government. Now, I would just like to share with all of you tonight, first, when they say that the deficit achieved by the federal government of Malaysia is 4.7% of GDP, it's a big fat lie. Because there's this term that we came across in Parliament, which is called contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities is basically the loans made, are the loans made by government agencies, Khazanah, 1MDB, whatever. So, but these loans are guaranteed by the government of the day. And our track record is superb when it comes to saving and bailing out certain agencies, especially government agencies. It stands at a staggering 116 billion ringgit as of this year. So when you input that amount, our deficit is much, much higher. Now that's a very important point, because it brings to question all the other data, the pronouncements made by the government, including whatever is announced via the ETP. Now, my major concern with the ETP, if you look at it, you study it, and our economists have done so, is going to make 7 million poor Malaysians much poorer come the year 2020. I am telling you, we are a multiracial, multi-religious society, and what is most important is you address the issue of poverty. I know for a fact, the poor in Lembah Pantai, they don't support Perkasa because they are bigots. They don't support Perkasa because they easily can fall victim to racist rhetorics. They fall to such negative lies, propaganda, because they feel victimized over their living conditions, how difficult it is to make ends meet. So you address that by introducing minimum wage. You address that by making sure that you have in place a positive discrimination policy, not based on color, but based on needs. And I think, yes, some businessmen have approached us in Pakatan Rakyat. They basically brought out their concerns. A lot of the SMEs will not be able to survive if minimum wage is introduced immediately. So we say, yes, our plan under Pakatan Rakyat is to introduce a facilitation fund, and you make sure the SMEs can implement minimum wage in phases. So that there's basically a way to do this. But what is most important is you have the political will. Now, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye, YB Hanayo. I'm sorry I didn't mention your name just now. Take care. Send my love to the baby. Now, the final point I'd like to make tonight is with regards to the Parliamentary Select Committee on Electoral Reform. And in a few weeks' time, we will face elections, as I mentioned earlier. And what is most important in an election is that it's conducted freely and fairly. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you again, Malaysia boleh, because for the first time in a democratic parliamentary democracy history, if you compare to Jamaica, yeah, Siva, if you compare to the UK, even New Zealand, all of these parliaments allow for the minority report to be tabled, except for in Malaysia. You know that 3 of our 9 MPs who are now making up the PSC for electoral reform, at any given time, the 6 MPs, including 1 of the independent, will make up the majority. So most of the recommendations will always be rejected if it is brought by Pakatan Rakyat. So certainly minority reports are important. It has to be tabled so people can discuss about it freely. I bring you to why electoral roll is so important. Why a clean electoral roll is a hallmark of a functioning and free elections. In the year 2000, in the Likas by-election, Likas case, where the judge found 4,000 plus names to be made up of illegals, but incorporated in the electoral roll. When challenged, they won, and the Likas by-election was declared null and void. What did the Barisan Nasional government do? They introduced an amendment to the Election Act in the year 2002, making it impossible to challenge the sanctity of any gazetted electoral roll. So right now, I am telling you, when you read in the papers, they say, ayo, Election Commission no power lah. Election Commission cannot do these changes because we need the other agencies to do their changes first. They must change the law so we can do our work. Those are lies. They're just excuses. The point is, the government is the one, the legislature introduces law, introduces reforms, changes to empower the Electoral Commission. And when they fail to do so, it is done so that we are in a situation where Najib can go on promising the sky, the moon, and whatever else, but not implement it in time for the upcoming elections. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to work very hard. I remember the first time I met Hannah when I was a lot younger. I was 27, she was 26. We're much older now. And we were campaigning in the 2008 elections. But what's most important is, and I think, of course, I speak for her when I say this, it's been such a wonderful opportunity to be part of Malaysia's history. You know, to have this chance. People talk about change. People talk about, I don't agree with this government, I don't agree with what they're doing. But what are you doing about it? When you have the chance, seize the moment. Make sure your vote counts, but also make sure we do our bit to preserve whatever is dear to us. The future of Malaysia's multiracial community. The future of Malaysia's heritage and the future of our people. What saddens me the most is when people say, yeah, brain drain. Who leaves the country? Non-Malays only. Malays are still here. But you must remember, I do not want this to be a Malay saja. I want this to be a Malaysia. So for us, we must start thinking one person that leaves Malaysia because he or she feels disappointed, because he or she feels they have been denied an equal opportunity, that is a loss to this whole nation. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let us work hard, let us work together. And please remember, we stand united, regardless what they might do. We are Malaysians, and no one, no party, no organisation, no bigot can take that away from us. Sekian, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.